Good morning. So today is Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, February 12th, no 13th, excuse me. And we're here at the American Legion, and we are going to be making these beautiful baskets. This is the sample basket that we'll be making today, and this is the reverse of it. Oops, sorry. Actually, you can flip it if you want to. You can work it on both ways. It can be this way, or you can make it that way. But I wanted to give you an example, show you the other various baskets that were made. This is a really cute one where the fabric was appliqued on after the basket was made. This one looks more like a Native American basket, as well as this one here. This is very colorful, really pretty. And again, all of these are reversible. Here's another one where it was applique in. It's another Latino theme one. I just love this part one. I think this is so damn cute. And the reverse is just roses and stuff. This one is an oblong one, which is a little bit different. Little green one here, blue greenish. This is another one that looks more like Native American too. Here we got a purple haze one. Next to it is just a regular green one with flowers in it. A leaf, like this could be really cute, like to put crackers or nuts. And this one is just so darn cute. This one was made by Madeline Sherman. And again, she used a good color combination. So Gloria Molina is doing this instruction, and it's a three-part face to it, and we'll put it all together into one big video. Stay tuned.
I thought it was a kind of a cute little thing, and it's one way making a bowl. It looks like he did it all by hand, and I thought it was pretty cool. So that was something Armando did. So let's begin with what this is. This is the one we're going to make. Okay? Very easy to do. This is all satin stitching, which is a zigzag, closed satin stitching. Again, 2 coordinating fabrics. You can reverse this, right? So easy enough to do. So to begin with, you're going to need the Peltex, which is fused on both sides. So you want to have, and I cut this 13 inches because you're going to make it a 12-inch square. But you start with 13 inches. And the reason you start with 13 inches as well as your other fabrics is because you want to trim it to size. And I want it to be exact. So you're going to take this, iron it on one side, okay? Turn it around. See, like right now, you want to make sure that you're covering all of it, because you're going to cut away and make it a square. And then the same thing with your other piece. Iron it on. And so this will be ironed on, and it stays pretty well throughout the entire time. So I want you to do that. And then you're going to trim this, and if you have, hopefully, a square ruler, but if not, this is, you cut it to 12 inches. All right, a 12-inch square exact, and make sure that it's completely covered on both sides. If in fact you skip a little bit, then go 11 3/4 or 11, as long as it's a square. That's the most important thing. All right, so we're going to do that first, and then you're going to take 2 pieces of the same fabric and 5 inches. Start with 5 inches, and you're going to wonder under, put wonder under on these. There's the other one. All right, iron it and cut this to 4 inches. It's 5 inches, all right? Start with 5, you're gonna trim it to 4. All right, so once you do that, all of that, I want this all to be trimmed exactly to the 12 inches. This is going to be, and you're going to use one on this side and one on this side, okay? Just so that you know. Start at 5, put a wonder under, cut it to 4. This starts at 13, and then trim it down to 12. So that's the first step. the next step that we're going to do is we're going to work a little bit with making satin stitching, and I brought some embroidery thread. You can use any kind of thread. It doesn't have to be embroidery thread. You can use regular thread, but I want us to work. You might want to cover this if you have excess fabric. It doesn't have to be the same fabric, just to work, and I want you to practice satin stitching. Some of you are good at it, know how to do it. Others, you know, it's good to practice. And so we're going to do that. So we'll do that, and then once you've finished all of that, give you some time to do that. Make sure it's pressed on. Then we're going to go to the next phase, which is trimming, making the darts, and starting your satin stitching. Okay? Easy, right?
Right.
If you forgot anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to repeat it all. All right, so draw your line, and you know you have half of it, right? So it's a 12-inch square, so 6, right? So you're going to make a perfect square here. So that's all easy, right? So then the tricky part is, a little pin cushion somewhere?
Right. Yep, no, hit your hand.
A pin. Gracias. So you're going to now take the Wonder Under off of your 4-inch square. I didn't do the other side, did I? No. Got to do both sides. Okay, that wasn't so smart. You do both sides and try and make sure they match so that the point is in the same place. That's the tricky part. Okay, this wants to be difficult. All right, so then you turn it over, and this is not going to work so well with that. That's why I pull the other one out. So you want it to be 6 inches, and you hopefully want it to be the same as the one on the other side. You can barely see it. I have a yellow one in there somewhere. Okay, so,
You want this chalk?
yeah, this one, it doesn't work as well because it comes off. You really need it through the whole process. But it does make a thinner line. These are the ones that Madame So has.
I like those.
Yeah. All right, so you have that, and this is what part that's hard. You hope that this center is going to come out. Oh, not bad. It's a little bit over, you can see, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just try and adjust this line just a bit, only because it'll be a bit of a problem for you later on. And I think a lot of it has to do because of the width of the marker, right? So, and you like it as much to match so they each do. Okay, the key is because now you're going to take your 4-inch piece that has the Wonder Under behind it, and you're going to place it so that all the points meet up. Okay, so it has to be a perfect square. You can see it's already off because you're going to sew this on both sides. Okay, so you have to press that, right? Then you take the opposite and then you place it again diagonally. Iron it. And, all right, so you have that. And now once it's ironed, you're just going to do a simple basting stitch around, all the way around, baste it. And hopefully on the other side, it catches it all. That's the tricky part. And if not, you know, all you have to do is trim it a bit or, you know, or move it. Hopefully you don't miss the mark too much. If you miss the mark too much, I take it off and start again. But you shouldn't miss the mark too much. So that's what you're going to do. Now you're ready to start your darts. Your darts are going to be, your darts are going to be 1/2 inch. So Again, you measure 1/2 inch cheaters here.
Does it matter which side?
Huh?
Does it matter which side you sew on?
What does
What
it?
side?
Even if you
You're
fold
gonna
it.
line up this side.
Yeah, you have
Oh.
it does, whatever side you're going to
Oh.
sew on, and you're going to, once this is sewn, you're going to do the dart 1/8 away from that point. Whoops, I didn't do the coming back was wrong. So it's this line and this line. All right, so that's your dart. Okay, now you do all 4 of them, but only cut 1 at a time. If you cut more than 1 at a time, you're going to have a bit of a problem because it's going as you sew, you're going. So again, pretend this is sewn on. You're going to trim this. This is phase 2. So then you're going to cut away your dart.
And you'll have sewn so that the line right there is right there, right?
I'm sorry?
You sew that satin stitch before you cut the darts?
Yes, what I'm saying, this is, yeah, make
Oh,
sure
okay.
you're going to satin stitch this all the way around. Now,
Okay.
what I do is I start with a smaller satin stitch, but if you're really good at it, you can start, because I'm going to do it twice. So, do you know what a satin stitch is? And we're going to practice that. That's why I gave you the practice piece. But before we do the satin stitching, I wanted to show you this part. But again, you're not going to sew this. This is going to get satin stitched. But I wanted you to get this far. So again, cut. You're doing it into 4, 6, right? You're going to fuse this on each side. All the points are matching, both sides. You're going to sew, just gently baste it all the way around, right? And then I showed you how to do the dart. 1/2 inch on each side, 1/8 of an inch away, and then, but only trim 1 at a time. Mark them, but only trim 1 at a time as you're going to sew. And then on the next phase, I want to teach you a little bit about satin stitching. Now, some of you might be better at it than I am, but I'll show you what I did, and we can start this and then how we put this together. And then you'll be on your way to finishing your bow. Easy peasy, right? Right.
This is 1/2 inch and this is...
This is a 1/2 inch on each side.
So this is 4, this is not 5.
Again, it's going to make this of the thing. Find some fabric and cover it. You don't have to if you don't have any. There are some. Well, there were some scraps
right here.
There's
All kinds of scraps.
There's scraps there that you just iron it the same way. This is to practice. Now, how many know how to zigzag and satin stitch? So it's not a bad idea to practice. Some of it is either I'm not great at it, but certainly learn your machine, which is a satin stitch, and bring it. Start out with the larger, like around. Not very wide, and practice a couple of times, and then start with the satin stitch. Mine is 0.2 for satin stitch, and then I started at different widths, everywhere from 3/5 to 6, and practice it and make a couple of rows. And then I want you to practice this edge. I'm going to take this out so I can show you this. Not the neatest job, but again, you're going to be neater than I am. So remember, I asked you to sew this with a stitch. How bad that line is. I'm going to have to straighten it out. So you're basting it, and hopefully you hit the mark on both sides, right? And I was rushing, so I was pushing it along. You really have to let it guide itself. But I wanted to get this done for the next phase. Always cut these these threads as much as possible, because they really get in your way. All right, so we are going to practice our satin stitching, And you're going to you base it and now you satin stitch it. I do it twice. Start with like a 5.5, go around all the way around, and then go with the largest, the 6.5, depending on what you have, and satin stitch all around. Okay, that's the first thing. But I do give you this piece to practice. All right, so you're going to practice that, and you're also going to practice doing the edges. So what is really important, and I know I don't do it all the time, but it will bunch up your thread, is to bring up your thread. I mean, I'm really good at not doing that because I'm lazy, and it's just not smart because you get these horrible nests in the back. And you have to have your needle has to fall right at the edge, right? So you have it at zigzag here, and you're going to sew in and to the edge, making sure and believe me, I don't hit the mark all the time. I should wear my glasses, but now I have to wear cheaters. And these threads, if you can cut them, it's best. All right, and so now you're going to go all the way along, and this is going along the edge. So you can see what's happening here. You're catching this, and it's going underneath, right? And of course, so you're going to do it twice, hopefully. And again, it's, if I could have the leaf, it's really hard to do. I hadn't even finished this one, but this is all these points and everything. This one was really tricky. Haven't finished it. Will one day? Maybe. But again, I was just practicing different ones. So again, try and sew it so that the needle, here, see I'm going too far, that the needle is hitting right at the edge of the fabric. Okay. So, next part, you're going to practice your satin stitching before you get the real thing. So you did your dart, okay? Put it in your machine. I'm going to go to the larger satin stitch, the larger zigzag. This I can barely see because I can't reach this thing. My chair's too low. All right, so you're going to put it right at the point. And again, I highly recommend to bring up your thread. Otherwise, you will create nests back there. So you bring up your thread. Maybe. There it is. Put the threads behind you. All right, and then you start zigzagging with a larger stitch, right? As it goes, you're going to bring this together. Okay? So then you're just doing a larger stitch. And you know, I use regular needles. This stuff is very easy to sew on. I was surprised that because of the thickness that I would have to, this needle must even be dull. Okay, so you zigzag, so you're putting the pieces together.
A new one.
So I used a larger stitch, right? So now I would cut the dart on the opposite side, a 1/2 inch on each side, trim it, and you're going to do the same thing. But again, you should fully satin stitch this. So this is just a zigzag. Now you go back in there before you do that other dart. And do the opposite, right? Then this one and the opposite. Because it starts curving on you, and bring up your thread. I don't know why that's not working there. This thread. So you bring up your thread, and as you cut them along the way.
¿Echando novio?
¿Qué pasó allá?
We're all single ladies.
All right, so now you go back to your satin stitch. Mine is 0.2, and cut all your threads. I'm not doing it now, but you can. And again, the best thing to do is to let it guide itself. All you want to do is make sure that it's covering.
So in the end, you don't reverse back?
No,
To lock it in?
you can, but you're going to trim. You're going to go over the top with it. And again, you could do this 2 or 3 times to the thickness that you want, and the neater the better. Can't say that I'm mad.
So what you trim here is only half an inch, right?
Half an inch on each side. This will start making this bowl, all right? So again, it's sewing on the other side. I would still do another stitch here just to make it a little neater, right?
Yeah.
So you can see how you're forming the bowl.
Yes.
This one, and I did about 3/4 of an inch from each side, and I cut it. That made it the little.
Like the little
That's
square.
right. So again, it could go an inch or however you want, but I think I did 3/4 of an inch, and you trim this off. And then that's when you're practicing this stitch, you're gonna go all the way around. Once you finish your bowl, then that's going to be your edges, right? So again, so that you remember, you stitch this down, hopefully you caught both sides, opposite colors. Okay, you satin stitch all the way around. Like on this one, it needs at least 2 more rounds when it's gonna be cleaner and neater. Again, your dart, 1/2 inch on each side, trim it just to 1/8 here. And when you start putting it together, start flat here with a zigzag, a larger zigzag, the bigger one, because you're just connecting the two, and then start bringing it together gently and connect the two, right?
Okay.
And then you're going to start doing your satin stitch. But I give you this piece because honestly, it is something that you need to practice. You can see how uneven mine is, so as you go along, it's really hard for me to see this is so. But practice your satin stitch. And some have machines that do it better than others.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.